हरि ओम। ओहो ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरं। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वतीपतये हर हर महादेव। Hari Om. So there are this twofold path mentioned in our Vedas, and same twofold path is revealed here in Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence of the teachings of the Vedas. The path of pravritti and the path of nivritti. The path of performing actions which leads to knowledge. Thereafter there is path of knowledge which culminates in abidance in that knowledge. Jnana nishtha. And that jnana nishtha makes a person free, makes a person jivan mukta. So this twofold path have to be followed in that order. First we have to walk on the path of karma, and once we become fit, then we follow the path of meditation, jnana nishtha. So Arjuna wanted to drop all his karma. So Bhagavan says, no, you perform your karma. And he gives him various reasons from every standpoint that why performing karma is the most important and the appropriate thing for Arjuna to do. And finally, Bhagavan gives him briefly the attitude which we should have while performing our karma, our duties. Bhagavan says, Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatas jvaraha. That, hey Arjuna, dedicating all your actions to me, becoming totally free from all expectations, free from mamatva, and free from all anxieties and worries, you perform your action. And for Arjuna, the action was fighting this righteous war. And Bhagavan says that this advice is given to all of humanity, everyone, whatever be their background. Because when Bhagavan speaks, Bhagavan is the creator and the master of this entire universe. He is not speaking to only a few people. He is not speaking to only people from one particular community or something. He is speaking to the entire humanity. So Bhagavan says, Ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti manavaha. So the all of humanity who follow my teaching and do as per my guidance, then they will also become free of all their bondage. But if they go against my teaching, if they find fault in my teaching, if they find faults in me and don't follow as per my guidance, then such people are totally deluded and they will get destroyed. But why do we go against Bhagavan's wish, and why do we go against what is taught in the scriptures? Even when we come to understand what is right, even when we are told, given some good advice, why we don't follow them? We don't follow them because we tend to act according to our own prakriti, our own svabhav, according to the samskar, the impressions which we are carrying forward from our past lives. So when we come under the sway of our own prakriti, then we don't follow anybody's advice. We just move as per our prakriti. And our prakriti, the raga dvesha, leads us into more and more trouble and into more and more bondage. Because our prakriti expresses in the form of raga and dvesha, in the form of likes and dislikes, which are expressed at the level of our senses. So Bhagavan says, if you want to rise, if you want to evolve on your spiritual journey, then the first thing which you have to learn to do is to not to come under the sway of your likes and dislikes. He says, Tayorna vashamagachet tavyasya paripantino. These likes and dislikes at the level of our senses are like the looters on the way. Don't come under their sway. You focus on what is right rather than what you like. If what is right, if you don't like, also you follow it. That will be better. Shankaracharya ji says that once we develop that control over our own likes and dislikes, then we will get tuned to the teachings of the scriptures. So, yada punaha ragadvesho tat pratipakshena niyamayati tada shastra drishtihi eva purusho bhavati. Then we will gain that shastra drishti, the vision of the scriptures, and that will take us towards our supreme goal. So therefore, one should not come under the sway of likes and dislikes. So having given all these reasonings and given advice to Arjuna that you have to perform your duties properly, Bhagwan now concludes his reply to Arjuna in this following verse number 35. Bhagwan says, Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushtitat swadharme nidhanam shreyah paradharmo bhayavaha. Bhagwan says, Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha. Arjuna had requested Bhagwan that please tell me what is Shreya for me. Yash Shreyasyan nishchitam bruhitan me. He had asked Bhagwan, tell me what is my Shreya in the second chapter. And here also, Tadekam vada nishchitya yena shreyo ham apnuyam. He requested Bhagwan that please tell me by which I can attain Shreya. Shreya means good. I hope you can see me. Okay. So Shreya means not only that it will help us in this life, but it will ultimately take us to our final goal, our final destination of Jivan Mukti. So Bhagwan concludes in this verse, he tells Arjuna, कि श्रेयान स्वधर्मो विगुणः paradharmat swanushtita. Therefore, hey Arjuna, swadharma is shreya for you and for everyone. Swadharma means my own duty, my own path at this particular moment, at this particular evolution of my on my spiritual journey. What is good for me, what is beneficial for me is my own shreya, is my own swadharma. So here Arjuna as a Kshatriya, he was about to fight this war, but then he got confused and he expressed his view also that I prefer to just live in this world begging and not doing anything, and not behaving like a Kshatriya, but just living as a beggar in this world. So Bhagwan told him that this is not proper, this is not your dharma. So following our own dharma is the best for us. Doing our own duty is the best for us. Though that duty may not be something which I like. I may not like that my duty. Again, that duty may not have that glamour. In the world also, people may not appreciate it. It may not have that glamour in this world. It may have its own shortcomings. It may have its own defects. But still Bhagavan says, your own duty is far more superior for you and it is better for you. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha. Because this swadharma only will take us to our swarupa. Swadharma, anushtan, will finally take me to my own self. See, for example, you want to go to a particular place. You want to catch board a train to go to your destination. Then you go to the station. Then you go to that appropriate platform. And there you see two trains. One train is very beautiful, very well made, nicely painted. The interiors also is very nice, clean. The seats are also very good. And another train is there on the other platform, which is not so good. Okay, not so attractive, but it's fine. It's in the running condition. So if these two trains are there, which train should you take? You should inquire, which is the train which will take me to my destination? If the train which will take me to my destination is, even if it is not so good, I should board it and I should sit there, because ultimately it will take me to my destination. Rather than sitting in a train which appears to be attractive, which appears to be good, but it will take me away from my destination. Therefore Bhagavan says that Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha api. Even if it has got some defect or it is not so glamorous, or even if you don't like, the best thing for you is to follow your Swadharma. Do what you are meant to do. Don't try to do other person's duty. Paradharmat swanushtitat. Even if you are very good in doing somebody else's job, Bhagavan says you should not do. You should not do other person's duty. You should not poke your nose in other person's business. You should not interfere with other person's work. You might be great, you might be very expert in that, but that is not your duty. See, even from a social standpoint, our scriptures classified all human beings into these four varnas, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And each of these varnas, they had their own specific duties. And when they were doing their duties, their own job was kept secure, and they will not come in the way of other person's job. So everyone was secure. By birth itself, they had job security. There was no tension, there was no worries, there was no corruption. But when the system got broken, the person who was more capable of doing even somebody else's job started doing it, and that fellow lost his job, lost all his opportunity. So simple person fishing and selling those fish and earning his livelihood, doing in a simple way, slowly increasing his business also. But then a very intelligent, scholarly Brahmin, very well educated, he decides that I will do this. I will buy some trawlers. I will buy a big thing, and then I will put my head in that. And he does it, and he does it very well. But because of that work, so many fishermen become unemployed, and they have to go and do something else. It's just an example. Bhagavan says that each one of us, we should find out what is our worldly duty and what is our duty given to us by the Shastras, and we have to just do those duties without interfering in the work of other person. So if we do that, then we will progress on our path. The society will also remain well balanced, and everyone will move towards our ultimate goal. So Bhagavan tells Arjuna ki shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushtitat. Swadharma is much better than paradharma. Paradharma means somebody else's dharma, somebody else's duty. See, at home also, the parents are there, children are there. Parents, they have their own duty. The mother has got her own duty. If it is traditionally well ascertained, then we don't have any confusion. So the mother has got her duty, father has got her duty, his duty. Children, they have their duty. Children, when they go to school, let us say child goes to school and gets a lot of homework. He has to. His mathematics teacher gave him some homework, so he comes home. So he tries to do that homework, but then father, out of his own compassion, he is a great scientist, a great mathematician. The child is in 5th or 7th standard and he is doing his mathematics. The father tells the child, don't worry, I will do your homework. You just sit back, relax, I will do. So even though the father is expert in mathematics, even though the father can do the homework much better than the child, the father should not do it. It is not his duty. He should encourage the child to do the homework. He should encourage the child, teach the child how to do it if he wants, but it should be done by the child. This is just an example. So similarly, each one of us, if we sincerely do our duties, then it is good for everyone, rather than doing somebody else's duty. So we should have proper respect and reverence and respect for our own work and respect for the work of each and every person of this in this world. In the society, everyone has got their own duty, but that doesn't make them great or small. They are all equal, they are all great. If even one set of people don't work in the society properly, everyone suffers. If we see it in the world also, if sometimes some set of people go on strike, the Safai Karmacharis, let us say, go on strike, so everything becomes so dirty and so horrible. So each one should do their duties properly, rather than doing somebody else's duty. Bhagavan says, Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha. That while performing your duty, if you become, for years together you do your duty, and you die doing your duty, Bhagavan says that is also good for you, that will take you higher on your spiritual journey. That will be beneficial for you. So Shreyan Swadharme Nidhanam Shreyaha Par Paradharmo Bhayavaha. But somebody else's dharma, doing someone else's duty, is filled with lot of fear and filled with lot of obstacles, and it will never take you to your destination. It is like boarding a wrong train. The TC will come and catch you also. A lot of fear is there, and you will be thrown out of the train, and you will be hanging in between, not reaching your destination, and stranded somewhere in between. So that is the conclusion which Bhagavan tells Arjuna, कि श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणः परधर्मात् स्वनुष्ठितात् स्वधर्मे निधनं श्रेयः paradharmo bhayavah. Because this swadharma will take us to swa. Swa means our own self. So it is the dharma of our own self. Our karma yoga is also the dharma of our own self. It will take me to my own self. So thus Bhagavan concludes his reply to Arjuna. Arjuna had asked that question in the beginning of this third chapter, and Bhagavan concludes his reply. Now Arjuna asks some other question, and very interesting and important question. See, Bhagavan had told in the second chapter that if a person who meditates on the objects of this world, dhyayato vishayans pumsah sangasteshu pajayate, a person who keeps on imagining and having all fanciful imagination about the objects of this world and how it is so pleasurable and how it is so great, such a person gets in between some problem with the network. So he gets attached to the objects, and his mind also gets totally confused, becomes angry if that object doesn't come to him, and he gets totally deluded, loses his memory, and his buddhi also fails, and he perishes. Here also in this chapter, Bhagavan said that this raga dvesha, which are at the level of our senses, they are like thieves, they are like looters on the way. So, depending on the context, in different contexts, Bhagavan had mentioned these obstacles which come on the path of a sincere seeker. Now Arjuna wants to know it properly, exactly what are the obstacles, what is the main, what are the obstacles, and how to overcome these obstacles. That Arjuna wants to ask Bhagavan, so that the whole thing becomes clear and he can focus his attention on eliminating these obstacles on our spiritual journey. So this question is, Arjuna's question is very important. So let us chant. Verse number 36. Arjuna vacha atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushah anichannapi vašneya baladiva niyojitah. Arjuna Vacha. Arjuna is asking this question. See, Arjuna is a very sincere, dedicated student. He is listening to Bhagavan very attentively, and he asks questions, appropriate questions. He doesn't jump and ask some other questions or totally ask question out of context. No. He will stick to the topic and he will ask appropriate question to Bhagavan, and Bhagavan replies. So here Arjuna is asking ki atha kena prayukto yam papam charati purushaha. Ayam purushaha, this person, whoever this person who is walking this path of spirituality, or who is striving to do his karma in this world, following the path of karma yoga. This Purusha, ata kena prayuktayam papam charati, propelled by what? Instigated by what does this person commit sin? Atha kena prayuktoyam, prayuktaha, as though propelled, as though pushed against his own will, against his own desire, as though somebody pushes him to commit sin. So what is that force? What is that power which makes a person commit sin even when he knows that that is not proper, that is sinful? See, even Duryodhana was asked that, "Oh Duryodhana, you don't know what is dharma, you don't know what is adharma. Why are you doing this adharma?" Duryodhana said, "I know what is adharma, but I don't know that some force within which is forcing me to follow the path of adharma." Even in this world, if you ask some people, why are they committing that sin? Or why have they behaving like this? Or why are they indulging in some, bad habits and all? They will give such answer that I don't know. There's something force within which is forcing me to go on the wrong path. I know what is right, I know what is proper, but I don't know what happens. Somebody forces me to commit this sin. There are people who know all the bad effects of smoking or drinking. They can give a beautiful lecture on the bad effects of smoking and all, but still they continue with their bad habits. They continue smoking and drinking. And if you ask them, "Arey, you know everything, why are you doing it?" "I don't know." He says, "I don't know. It's a force, some power making me do this. I am helpless. I am totally addicted. I don't know what to do." People get addicted to various things. They get addicted to drugs, they get addicted to some pleasures, they get addicted to some objects, addicted to some person. And then they feel a force as though within which makes them do it. They are helpless. They become helpless as though. So very interesting and important question. So Bhagavan Arjuna is asking, "Atha kena prayuktoyam?" What is that force? What is that power? Which of course is within us only. What is that negative power, that negative force which is forcing a person to commit sin? Even a person who knows that it is a sin, it makes that person commit that sin. What is that force? Anichchanapi, Arjuna says, even against his desire. Against his desire also. Against his desire, no? Against his deep understanding that it is bad, not proper. Anichchanapi Vashneya, he Vashneya. O Krishna from the Vrishni Kula. Krishna was born in Vrishni Vamsha. So Bhagavan Arjuna says, "Hey Vashneya, ki anichchanapi," even against his wish, baladiva niyojitaha, as though forced, powerfully propelled, powerfully pushed, he commits the sin. So what is that? What is that force and power? That negative dark energy, that negative dark force, the devilish force which is there within, which makes a person go against dharma, which makes a person go against Bhagwan's wish, which makes a person go against his own conviction. What is this strange, powerful force within? A very important and very practical question, and Bhagwan analyzes this, not only gives the answer, but he gives the solution for it also. Most important and most beautiful portion. So if this question is clear, then let us see what Bhagwan, let us see Bhagwan's reply. Shri Bhagavan uvacha kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhavaha महाशनो महापाप्मा विद्धेनमिह वैरिणम्. श्री भगवान उवाच. श्री भगवान उवाच. See here first, Bhagwan Shri Adi Shankaracharya ji gives the meaning of the term Bhagwan. We call Krishna as Shri Bhagavan. See here in Bhagavad Gita, though it is the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, when it comes to Arjuna asking something, it is written Arjuna Uvacha. But when Krishna replies, it is written as Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. For Krishna, the term Bhagavan is used. And this Bhagavan is a very technical term, an address given to someone who has got these qualities. Just like we say a person is Dhanavan, a one who has got Dhana is called Dhanavan. One who has got Buddhi is called Buddhiman. One who has got Hanu, Chin, is called Hanuman. Similarly, one who has got Bhaga is called Bhagavan. And what is Bhaga? There are 6 qualities. This is just by the way, Don't get scared with all these new terms and all. So, 6 qualities are there, which if a person has in full measure, he is called Bhagavan. And if it's a lady, is called Bhagavati. So what are the 6 qualities? Aishwaryasya samagrasya dharmasya yashasas shriyah vairagyasya mokshasya shannam bhaga itirana. In Vishnu Puran, this shloka is there which tells us what is Bhaga. Bhaga means there are 6 virtues, 6 qualities. One is Aishwarya. Aishwarya means glory, all round glory. A person who is most glorious, all round, at all times, in all places, the most Aishwaryavan person, most glorious. Aishwaryasya samagrasya. Then dharma. Dharma means one who is righteous, one who is the very embodiment of dharma, the one who is very embodiment of goodness, one who is the very embodiment of all the sublime and the greatest value. Dharma. About Sri Ram also it said that Ramas Vigrahavan Dharma. Ram is the Sakshat embodiment of Dharma. Then Yashaha. Yasha means fame, whose fame is everywhere, who is famous in all the 3 worlds, in all the 3 times. It's called Yasha. Then Shriyaha, prosperity, wealth. One who has got all the wealth of this world, one who is most prosperous, one who has got outer wealth as well as inner wealth. Things, people and places, etc. One who has got the total vairagya. And moksha, one who is free, eternally free. So those who have this, one who has this is called Bhagavan. And all this fits in Ishvara only. So Ishvara and Ishvara's avatar as Krishna, he is called Bhagavan because he has got all these 6 virtues. So Bhagavan Krishna we say. Again the meaning of the word Bhagavan, another very interesting meaning is given in Vishnu Puran only. So Utpattim Pralayam Cheva Bhutanam Agatim Gatim Vetti Vidyam Vidyancha Savacho Bhagavaniti. See, we should know the meaning of Bhagavan. We should know who is teaching us this Bhagavad Gita. It is not just revealed by some ordinary person of this world. It is not an intellectual, philosophy See, we nowadays we talk about philosophies and all, and so many darshanas and all. Bhagavad Gita is not a philosophy. It is the fact of life. It is a reality which is revealed here. It is not a concept. It is not an idea. It is not some theory. It's the life. It is reality. So who has taught us this? Sri Bhagavan. So who is Bhagavan? Utpattim pralayam chaiva. One who is the knower of Utpatti, Sthiti and Pralaya of this whole world. One who knows the Utpatti, Sthiti and the Pralaya of this entire creation. Because everything has come from Bhagwan, it remains in Bhagwan and again merges back into Bhagwan. So Utpattim Pralayan Cheva. Then Bhutanam Agatim Gatim. Bhagwan is also one who knows the agati and gati, the coming and going of all beings. See, when we are born, though we had life before our birth also, we were there in our past lives, but we don't remember. Not only past life, we had life from the beginningless time, but we don't remember any of them. And if we don't gain moksha, we will get future birth also. So we have no clue about our past lives. We have no clue about what on their own journey. So some actually network problem. I hope you can see me. So, so Bhagwan is one who knows Utpatti, Sthiti, Laya of this entire creation. Bhagwan is one who knows the Gati and Agati of all beings. He knows. In the 4th chapter, he will tell Arjuna that I have taken many births. Bhagwan says, I have taken many avatars. And you have also taken many, many births. And Bhagwan says, I know all of them, but you don't know any one of them. You are unaware of your own birth and death. You are unaware of your past, but I know. So Bhagwan is one who knows all of us inside out. Bhagwan is one who knows from where we started our journey and what all happened in all the various life forms. He is all knower. He knows everything. See, even if we want to keep some record of things which we have done and this, and it's not possible. Everything gets lost because everything is changing. But all this is known to Ishvara. So Bhutanam Agatim Gatim Vetti Vidyam Avidyancha, and Bhagwan knows the basic problem of all beings is this avidya. He knows this avidya and he knows the vidya also. He knows the disease and he knows the medicine. He knows the problem and he knows the solution. So one who knows this Utpatti, Sthiti, Laya, who knows the Gati, Agati of all beings, and who knows Vidya, Avidya, is called Bhagavan. So when Arjuna asked this question, what is that which propels a person to commit sin? Now Bhagavan gives that reply. So let us chant. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Guna Samudbhava Mahashano Mahapapma Viddhena Miha Vairinam. So Bhagavan says, Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Guna Samudbhava. Arjuna, you were asking that what is that force, what is that power, what is that negative energy which is there within every one of us, which propels a person on the wrong path, as though forcefully pushes him or her in a negative direction. Bhagavan says in one word, if I have to tell, it is kamaha. And that kama itself gets converted into krodha. Kama and krodha are two sides of the same coin. So he says kama eshaha, krodha eshaha, rajoguna samudbhavaha, which is born from rajogun and which also gives rise to rajogun. Rajogun is the guna of activity. So when that kama or krodha comes, then a person becomes active, is propelled into action. See, a person is sitting quietly, let us say meditating, trying to meditate, sitting very peacefully. Then suddenly, because of some stimuli from outside, or maybe some samskar get activated from within, a kamna comes. I want to eat that, I want to go there, I want to do this. Suddenly remember something, oh, this important work is there, I have to do it. So his mind, his body, everything becomes restless, and he is forced to get up from his meditation seat, and he is forced to do that karma. So that kama and krodha is also the quality of rajogun, but it also activates the rajogun. See, every one of us, we have these three gunas. Every one of us means our body, our mind, this prakriti is made up of these three gunas. The sattva gun, rajogun, tamogun. Tamogun is inertia. Rajogun is activity. And sattva gun is intelligence. So our body and everything is made up of inertia, the matter. There is matter. Then within this matter there is activity. There is some force which makes this matter active. And this activity is also intelligently expressed. So there is intelligence hidden within everything. Even if you take a small atom, there is matter in that atom. Then there is energy in that atom, which is expressed with the electron moving with a particular speed around the nucleus. And there is intelligence. Every matter, every atom has got its own intelligence. It knows how to behave. It knows how to interact with other atoms. It follows laws. It follows rules. It will not just behave anyway. Therefore, knowing the secret of this atomic rules and laws, human beings have made different material from it. Even atom bomb is made knowing the secret of the laws of atoms. So, even if you take our own body, the body is made up of matter, but it is constantly, it is active. So that activity is because of the rajogun. And the activity is intelligent, it follows laws, so that sattva gun is there. So these three gunas are there expressing everywhere because they pervade everything. So but they remain dormant sometimes, they remain inactive, they remain silent. So tamogun is there, rajogun is there, sattva gun is there, they sometimes remain little bit balanced. But if there is little imbalance, then the whole thing go haywire. If tamogun increases, the rajogun and sattva gun goes down. If rajogun increases, the tamogun and sattva gun goes down. So they are interconnected also. So when we are very peaceful and silent and happy and understanding and all, having faith, then the sattva gun is more dominant within us. So we feel very happy because the expression of sattva gun is happiness, understanding, peace, quietude. But when that desire comes in our mind, then it starts disturbing that peace and happiness. And when that desire becomes stronger and stronger, then our whole peace and quietude and even understanding goes haywire. And that Rajogun start getting more and more prominent. And then Rajogun forces the person to perform those actions. Those Sattvagun says, Sattvagun knows that conviction is there, that this is not proper, this is the time for me to meditate. But the Rajogun will come and make the whole thing so turbulent that the understanding that I should meditate also gets suppressed, and the activity becomes more and more dominant, and a person gets up and starts doing other activity. So this kama is a power, is a force. Sattvagun is understanding. Kama is force. Tamogun is just matter. So wherever you take the matter, it goes. If the force pulls the matter, then it goes. If that force is directed by understanding, that it moves in that direction. So Rajogun plays a very important role. So Bhagavan says, Kama esha krodha esha. See, it was said in the previous, we have seen in the shloka, which talked about Prakriti, that we carry this Prakriti of our from our past lives. The samskars of our past life we carry in this life also, and it gets expressed on the level of our senses in the form of likes and dislikes. I like something naturally, I dislike something, that I carry that with me. Then when I contemplate on what I like and on what I don't like, and I keep on indulging in them, then slowly that like becomes more and more intense. It becomes attachment, and then that attachment gets converted into kamana. Dhyayato vishayans pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangas sanjayate kamaha. So kama is desire, and the more and more I contemplate, more and more I indulge in that desire, it becomes more and more powerful. So it's called kama. And this kama, when gets obstructed, when kama comes, I have to, I want it. That strong want is called kama. And when it gets obstructed from within or from without, then that energy, that force of kama itself gets converted into krodha. The more intense our kamna, the more intense is the krodha. See, some people are always angry and all because their kamna is more intense. Their wants are more strong. Their wants are more deeper. So they get agitated and irritated and impatient and disturbed by everything. Because their kamna gets disturbed. The kamna wants to move in one direction, then obstacle comes and it becomes krodha. So it's all psychology which works. And another interesting thing is that as long as this kam and krodha are under our control, see, if raga dvesha are controlled, then we will not have kama krodha. But if we transcend this raga dvesha, then kama krodha comes. And if we control this kama krodha, then also there will not be much problem. Though we will be feeling very restless and disturbed inside, but if we don't put that kama and krodha into action, then there will not be much problem. But when we start expressing this kama and krodha, then Bhagavan says this kama is mahashanaha. You try to fulfill one kamna, again another kamna will come. If you try to fulfill that, again another will come. Bhagavan says that kama is a voracious, eater. It is always hungry. You keep on feeding that kamna and it will never say enough. It will never say, no, bahut ho gaya, abhi nahi chahiye aur. No, it will want more and more and more and more and more. Therefore, that kamna always leads to lot of greed. और चाहिए और चाहिए और चाहिए. And if it gets obstructed, then it gets converted into anger, and that anger leads to, if it is expressed, then it leads to different type of papa. So Bhagavan says, Mahapapma, this krodha, means calm only, which gets converted into krodha, is Mahapapma, it's a terrible sinner. It makes us commit different types of sin. When a person is totally overpowered by anger, then he doesn't see what is right, what is wrong, who is there in front of him, what is the consequence of that action. Nothing is seen. He is totally overpowered by krodha. Then he doesn't work. The krodha takes over. Then he takes the back seat. His knowledge, his wisdom, his greatness, his samskar, everything takes a back seat, and krodha becomes the leader. Krodha becomes the driver. Krodha leads the person wherever he wants to go. This krodha is also like fire. See, when the fire is there, let us say a matchstick is there. In a matchstick, the fire is there, hidden, but it is not expressed. It is inside only. So when you touch the matchstick, it is very, very cool and nice. There is no problem. But when you light that matchstick, then fire gets expressed. Fire needs some support to express. Fire doesn't express just like that. It needs some support. So from the matchstick, the fire gets expressed. And very interesting, when the fire gets expressed, the first thing it burns is that matchstick. The first thing it burns is the very substratum or very place where it rises. That is the first thing the fire burns. And if you light that matchstick and throw it on, let us say, dry grass, it will burn that grass. But if you pick up that lighted matchstick and throw it in water, it will get extinguished. So, our anger arises in our mind. So the first thing it destroys is our mind. First thing it destroys is our own antakarana. Then we pour out that anger on somebody else, and if that person is like a dry grass, then he also starts burning. So there are two burning matchsticks like. So I am burning, then I burn that other fellow, he is also burning, then he burns someone else, then everyone is burning. So the whole community is angry. But if you light that matchstick and throw it in water, the fire just gets extinguished and nothing happens to the water. So when one expresses anger also towards enlightened person or towards Ishvara, in the sense it just gets extinguished. One becomes calm, peaceful, and nothing happens. If one doesn't react to anger, then we can extinguish that anger. We can just and remain safe ourselves. So Bhagavan says, Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma. This Kama and Krodha are mahashanaha. They eat a lot. Kama eats a lot, and mahapapma, and it's a great sinner. When it gets converted into Krodha, it becomes a great sinner. And as a Kama also, it is a sinner. So Bhagavan, therefore, he says that Vidyenam iha vairinam. So you understand, oh Arjuna, that this is your enemy. See, when a warrior wants to fight, the first thing he has to locate is his enemy. Who is our enemy? Where is our enemy? Otherwise, one will be fighting with one's own friend or one's own people. We have to locate the enemies. See, in Kali Yuga and all, with all this type of terrorist activities and other things, it is very difficult to locate enemies. In the good old days, the system was there, the enemy was quite visible, and you know he is the enemy and he is not the enemy. In Satya Yuga and all, the Rakshasas were well defined, like they had different features on their body. So you know they are the Rakshasas and these are the Devatas. But in Treta Yuga, they became more and more like human beings. In Dwapar Yuga, they became like relatives only. In Treta Yuga, Ram and Ravan were there. Ravan was also human being. Ramchandraji also human being. In Dwapar Yuga, Krishna is there, and then this Shishupal and Dantavakra, they were his relatives. Enemies became relatives. And in Kali Yuga, the enemies are within us only. This Kama is there within us, Krodha is there within us. We should be able to locate them properly. Because they take different forms also. They create illusion. They delude us. They take different form. It is Kamna, but it may come out in the form of something else. It is Krodha, but we will project it as though, oh, it is a righteous anger. अरे गुस्सा करना चाहिए, बिना उसके कैसे चलेगा और ऐसा वैसा. So we try to justify even an unrighteous anger. So they are the enemies, Bhagavan says, and we should overcome them, destroy them. So Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajoguna samadbhavaha, Mahashano Mahapapma Vidhenam Iha Vairinam. More about this we will see in our class tomorrow. So till then, stay safe, stay home, stay happy, peaceful, do your work, contemplate, pray, and we will meet again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.